take a behind-the-scenes look at the making of Rascal Rodents. Normally, the closer look video is focused on the creative process. There is a closer look video that is available at clickdivine.com that concentrates on the imagine and design phase of Rascal Rodents. In this program, however, we will examine the last two phases of the Divine approach, the build and the present phase.
Let's do a quick recap of the objectives for Rascal Rodents. First, we needed a portable piece that demonstrated our capability. The design was kept compact to use as little floor space as possible. Rascal Rodents calls for 2,000 pieces of wood over a complex form involving many curves, such as coves and a door that looks like it's peeling away from the substrate. And finally, our last objective was to build a piece that was fun and would engage people dropping by our booth. We created a storyline that used a technique we called Where's Waldo with Wood, where viewers have to search for hidden items embedded into the panel design. Okay, that's what the design called for. Now, let's take a backstage look at how we actually built this thing. When we start a build, we cut the carcass pieces into a dry assembly. For some companies, that's pretty much the vast majority of the effort. At Click Divine, that's the easy part. For Rascal Rodents, we do a dry assembly where we take the panels and the coves and masking tape them all together, which helps us get a visual of the proportions and an overall sense of the composition. Then we take the computer design and print it out to a large format printer. This is the last chance to make any final tweaking before we start cutting the thousands of pieces needed for the panel skins. The grain for our field veneer has to flow consistently from the apron to the cove and up through the doors and side panel. We do a full-scale layout at the computer to ensure the cutting will be precise and to minimize any waste. All the veneers have different widths, so we organize the 1,000 plus pieces for the border by wood type. At Click Divine, we are known for blending the old with the new. This applies not only to design, but also for our manufacturing process. Once we're in the digital domain, we can get extremely accurate cuts down to 1/1000th of an inch. Sand shading creates the illusion of depth, and it's done by scorching the edges of the wood by dipping them into very hot sand. We talk about blending the old and the new. Well, this is part of the old process. Once cutting and shading are complete, we begin the assembly process. Again, no computers for this part of the job. We print out a template and start laying in the pieces, one by one. For Rascal Rodents, that adds up to 2,000 pieces hand assembled. It's good to have a second set of eyes check over the work prior to glue up. Managing thousands of pieces of thin, fragile wood can be challenging, to put it mildly. Touch-ups are made, and we apply tape to the front, getting ready for the glue up.
The front door was a major undertaking. Not only did it have hundreds of pieces of veneer, but it had this complex three-dimensional peel, simulating what would have happened if a clamp were removed during the glue-up phase.
Okay, let's get started and take a look at how we go from that taped veneer skin to a rigid curved panel. We apply a special glue that won't bend once it cures. We create a sandwich of the veneer skin of the front door together with a flexible plywood backer. The sandwich is placed on the top of the curved form and goes into the bag. A vacuum sucks the air out and holds the sandwich in the desired shape until the glue is finally cured. And voila, our peeled front door. Let's get a little artistic and put some negative space into this piece. The design called for a hole that served two functions. The first purpose was to show a design pattern that didn't lift with the peel and remained stuck on the underlying board. And secondly, we didn't want an obtrusive piece of hardware interfering with our design. So, the hole made for an integrated door handle. Nice! The last part of the front door was taking that peel and a piece of 3/4 inch plywood and gluing the two together. The idea is now starting to turn into a reality. A lot of the projects at Click Divine either have gold leafing or silver leafing as a surface ornament. To get leafing to look really shiny, you have to have a perfectly smooth base. We put on many coats of a product called gesso. Brush it on, sand it off, and repeat until silky smooth. Then we brush on a liquid called sizing, that when it dries, it remains tacky. The leafing sticks to any part where the sizing was applied. The rest of the leaf just brushes straight off. There's a saying that you can never have too many clamps, especially when there's rascal rodents afoot.
Now that the build phase is complete, we can wrap the project up during the present phase. This is where we take an assembled piece and make it presentable. That involves 3 things: applying a protective finish, creating any marketing assets, and finally, delivering it and installing it to the happy customer.
One of the greatest feelings craftsmen get is when they apply that protective finish. There is only one word that expresses what happens when the finish is applied for the first time to the highly figured exotic veneers, and that word is wow. Once these pieces leave our shop, it's almost impossible to get the digital imagery. So we grab all the video and photography that we can so we can present these pieces to the world through our website. We started at the computer, so I guess it just seems fitting that we end at the computer. You know, a sizable chunk of our business is doing artistic projects that entail sophisticated graphics. So creating the digital assets is right up our wheelhouse. Normally, the final part of the Divine approach is installing our work in the customer's home or business. But Rascal Rodents was built for shows, so its installation was simple. We just put it on the winner's stand.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for taking the time for a backstage tour of Rascal Rodents. And don't forget to sign up for our guest book so you won't miss any of the upcoming CDTV programs.